A book that I read when I was just a teenager and going into my 20s and learning how to earn was a book called The Richest Man in Babylon. And in this book, it talks about how to make your money work for you, how to be frugal, how to become like the richest man in Babylon. It follows the story of a man who went to see the richest man in Babylon who taught him a few things about how to amass wealth. And so in this video, we're going to be covering this. And of course, be sure to stay to the end because we're going to save the best for last here. But let's get right into the 7 cures for a lean purse from chapter 3 of A Richest Man from Babylon. So the 5th cure for a lean purse from the richest man in Babylon is to guard our treasures from loss. And a lot of times we're looking at this in the way of guarding our assets and protecting our assets. Sometimes people might want to use LLCs to protect assets, business assets, and other assets, properties and what have you. They may want to use trusts. It could be an irrevocable trust that helps protect assets. An easy way to protect assets is just to use an insurance policy like an umbrella policy that can protect us. Say if you get in a car accident and somebody sues or somebody gets hurt on one of your properties and they sue, you don't want them coming and trying to take you for everything that you're worth. And so having this umbrella policy definitely helps. But one of the main ways to help protect from loss is just not to do silly things like co-signing on a loan for your neighbor, because the bank is almost definitely going to come calling when your neighbor chooses not to pay. We don't want to be lending money foolishly. We also don't want to be borrowing money foolishly. So a lot of times people get into hock and they take out these credit cards. Now borrowing to buy an asset that's going up in value, that's a pretty good way to borrow. We don't necessarily want to buy an asset with borrowed funds that's going down in value. So if we're buying a home, it's going to go up in value. If we're buying rental property, it's likely going to go up in value. If we're borrowing to get into a business, the business is likely going to go up in value. But if we're borrowing to buy a boat or a car, these things that take a lot of upkeep and go down in value, that's not a good thing to be borrowing for. And borrowing money to spend it on things that you don't need to impress people that you don't like, there's nothing worse than that. So let's watch out for that. So if we're borrowing on credit cards to spend money, the credit cards we have to pay the highest interest of just about anywhere. So if you're borrowing to buy a house, you could pay 2.5%, 3% a few years ago. Now it's a little bit higher than that. It's about twice that much now, or a little bit higher. But on these credit cards, some of them are 17, 18, 29, 30 plus percent. And that's insane. It's really hard to earn enough to overcome that interest that you're paying to the credit card company. And so we want to avoid that. And these days, the credit card balances are the highest they've ever been. And the finance charges are out the roof. And people have so much on credit cards, they're maxing these out, and they're going to buy now, pay later loans. Those things aren't tracked as much, and so they've got these blowing out. And it's not as bad in the U.S. as it is in some other countries, but they're getting pretty bad. And so we want to watch out for this really, really bad debt where we're paying all this interest. And we want to stay away from taking those out. Now, if you have these already, some people may have student loans as well, and hopefully you're getting an education that'll pay for itself. One thing you might want to look at are the degrees that end up paying the most over somebody's lifetime. Typically an engineering degree or math degree or business degree tends to pay the most over somebody's lifetime. There's other degrees that you can get in underwater basket weaving that may not pay as much over your lifetime. It may not provide a living for you easily. For some people, it may be better for you to look at a trade that's going to pay you well. You can go into business for yourself down the road. That may pay you better than ever going to college. Sometimes people learn things in college that don't do them any good. Make sure to borrow money wisely for things that'll pay you back over time. Charlie Munger was fond of saying before he passed away, the 3 things that get you in trouble are liquor, ladies, and leverage. So those 3 things we want to watch out for. Warren Buffett says that a lot of times the leverage is going to be the one thing that gets a smart man in trouble. And a dumb man doesn't need to be taking on leverage at all. What do we mean by leverage? That means borrowing money or too much money to buy a business or buy stock or what have you. It works really well for a while. It's kind of like going all in poker, where you go all in and you don't get called for a while and you amass more and more chips. But when you take on too much leverage, it eventually can hit you. And taking on too much leverage, you can lose everything. We want to get in a situation where we can maybe wreck the car and still keep driving, but we don't want to get in a situation where we total the car. So the worst thing that can happen is to amass millions and millions and billions and have too much leverage and lose everything. And that's happened to people time and time again. Smart people have this happen to them time and time again. They take on too much leverage and they lose everything because they got too greedy. So Proverbs 13:11 says, "Wealth gained hastily will dwindle, but whoever gathers little by little will increase it." We want to be able to have that passive income coming in from lots of different sources. We learn to earn, and then we build up businesses, or we buy up businesses, we buy up other assets that are going to pay us rather than us having to work. And so eventually we'll have more money coming in from other avenues other than our work that pay us. And that's when we start to realize we can afford to retire and enjoy our healthy years. So we want to enjoy ourselves and enjoy these healthy years while we still can. Don't wait to retire until you've got this magic number saved up, because we don't know when our number is going to be called. Matthew 6:19-21 says, "Do not store up for yourselves treasures on earth, but store up for yourselves treasures in heaven. For where your treasure is, there your heart will be also. And also seek ye first the kingdom of God and his righteousness, and all these things will be added to you." Don't be thinking just about treasures you're saving for here on earth and enjoying things here on earth, because the hereafter is that much more meaningful, and the treasures we'll have in heaven are going to be that much more for us when we get there. So since you love these videos so much, please feel free to like them. And we've got another video here for you, a little bit like this one, that you might like. And please feel free to share with your friends. And as always, stay thirsty for knowledge, and we'll catch you a little later.